track?
I think a lot goes back to that. That's a tough at bat. It seemed like he fouled off everything he threw: sliders, changeups, fastballs, and he's been swinging the bat really well. So to me, that was a huge out in the game.
How promising is it to see the comfort that Dellin has shown in this closer's role thus far?
We weren't, overly concerned about it. Dellin has been as good as anyone in baseball for the last 3 years. Anyone. So we weren't too worried about it. The thing is, Chapman really lengthened our bullpen. So, our concern was more who kind of fills Adams' role sometimes, in a sense. And you look at the job that Shreve has done really good, and Greeny's done a really good job in that spot. So that was more of our concern.
What does it do for your offense when your lefties are hitting lefties the way Gardner and Didi are?
Well, it helps a lot. I thought tonight, he did a good job of pitching up in the zone, and Mike was calling that all night long. And I thought we missed missed 4 or 5 balls tonight. That, fraction of an inch their home run. So it was just one of those nights we were a little bit off. But when you get lefties producing like that against lefties, you feel pretty good.
Back right.
Joe, you mentioned Didi. He's been swinging a really hot bat. What have you been seeing from him and just his progressions?
Well, I think he's just kind of picked up where he left off last year. He had a great WBC, and it was unfortunate that he got hurt. And Torres did a tremendous job in his absence. But, I thought Didi grew up a lot and figured out who he was as a hitter last year and swung the bat really well.
Mike?
Joe, Pineda was a guy you felt like you were baffled by last season. What's been the difference in the 2017 version of him?
I think it's the ability to get big outs when he needs to get them. That's a lot of times that's really what it comes down for pitchers. The difference between a win and loss, getting a big out when you need to get it. And he's been able to do that better this year.
Andrew?
Joe, do you think Gardner deserves his own special section?
He's had a big cheering section for a long time, so I don't know. Would you make him Gardners? Or I don't know.
Over against the wall.
Joe, in Didi's time here, do you remember maybe if there was a moment where he decided to heavily commit himself to improving against left-handers?
Oh, I think that's probably been a focus for him for a long time. Because you can get labeled sometimes, early in your career that you don't necessarily hit left-handers, and we just kept running him out there against left-handers. We always thought if you're going to give him a day off, let's do it against a left-hander. But he's our everyday shortstop. We never considered him a platoon guy, and I think just getting those opportunities at this level really helped him out.
Pete, to your left, Joe.
Joe, on the overturned call, how'd you see that initially? What did you think? And looked like there's a bit of
well,
there.
That's always the hardest for me to see. So, of course we're going to replay that because it's a tying run if we think that we have a shot. So, as soon as the play happens, I put my hand up. I didn't know if he was safe or out, and the replay we got on the board didn't really help us. So we had to rely on them, and they made it pretty quick.
Joe,
you mentioned the big outs that Pineda is getting this year. Do you see something in why the execution is better, or is it just perhaps 8 starts where he's getting those kind of outs?
You'd like to say you learn. As you get older, you learn from situations, and you're able to, control your emotions and not try to do too much and just do what you always do. Make a pitch. It's one pitch. And, I think it's important that pitchers remember that, a lot of times they're just one pitch from getting out of an inning when you think about it. So I think for Michael, he probably learned a lot last year going through all those situations, and it's been key for him this year.
Can you sense that he's controlling his emotions?
I never saw Michael not really control his emotions. He's always had so many gyrations. You kind of wonder what's going through his mind sometimes out there. But, the only reason I say that maybe he's controlling his emotions better because he's making the pitches. But it's not something that I've seen from him.
Anyone, Mike?
Joe was cleaning off the plate before the game, part of punishment for the ejection.
It was kind of funny. Jerry Lane and I go back a long ways. Him behind me when I was a catcher and always laughing. As the two wonderful little kids took the lineup card, Jerry called me out and said that I set a bad example for kids and I should clean the plate.
Okay.
I thought it was quite humorous.